It's just Summer League. It's just Summer League. It's just Summer League. But do the Magic still have a point guard problem? Today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is July 13th. It will be July 14th, 2025. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the Orlando Magic fall to the Toronto Raptors in their second Summer League game. Plenty of good things to talk about, and we're going to talk about all of them. But the big story was the Raptors' ball pressure. Why the Summer League team is kind of like the regular team in that they don't really have a point guard. Why that is still the big issue facing the Orlando Magic. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic your first listen every day. Whether you listen to us first thing in the morning, whether you listen to us right when we upload, whether you listen to us whenever you find us, we truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. We truly appreciate all of our everydayers who make Locked On Magic part of their day 5 days a week. We're still going 5 days a week strong, all the way until the end of Summer League for sure, and probably till the end of the month. So plenty of Locked On Magic coming your way before we take a little bit of a break for a couple months and scale back to get ready for what should be a very fun 2026 season. It's all part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. The Orlando Magic have a philosophy. They have a way that they play. They have this thing that they feel makes them unique. And look, we are talking championships now. We are talking about being deeper into the playoffs and being a legitimate title contender. And to do that, you have to do something that is so unique, so elite, that other teams have to plan for it, or that other teams, frankly, don't have a way to plan for it. And so the Magic, their overall strategy, their overall idea is that we can attack you from any position. Our best playmakers are 6'10 forwards who play like guards, but have the strength of forwards. Our guards are not traditional point guards. You have to cover them, and you have to be able to cover everyone because they do everything. Anthony Parker said this on the broadcast of Sunday's game, and it's been something that Jeff Weltman's repeated. The goal for the Magic this offseason was to collect skill and IQ. They wanted players smart enough to know what to do with the ball and have the skill to do things with the ball that are not typical for players of their position. That is the Magic's identity. That is who the Magic are, and that is what the Magic believe will lead them to success. This is the heart of the matter. And so when we all looked at the Magic roster and said, oh, a point guard matters. Look, even Corey Joseph, love Corey to death. Even Corey Joseph made this offense functional because a point guard matters. The Magic said, no, that's not the case. We're going to go get Desmond Bane, one of the best three-point shooters in the league, and an elite player, and someone who could add 5 assists per game, and build our roster around that. I've joked about this. I've said this on like several radio appearances and podcast appearances. The Magic decided to moneyball the point guard position. They don't need a point guard. They can create one in the aggregate. And frankly, this is the theory of the case. This is the theory of the Magic's whole rebuild. If this theory is wrong at this point, the Magic have to do some major shifting, some major changes. They are full in committed to this identity of playing without a point guard. That Paolo, Franz, and Bane can each average around 5 assists per game and recreate what you might get from a point guard. But even then, what you get from a point guard is a little bit more intangible than that. Yes, Desmond Bane can rip the ball down and go. Jalen Suggs can rip the ball down and go. Paolo can go. Franz can go. Any one of those players could initiate the offense, and that is an advantage. That is not a bad thing. But there is a level of organization, a level of understanding, a level of calm, a level of poise that comes with a traditional point guard. And what the Magic are going to have to prove, and a key to the Magic's ultimate success this season, is whether they are able to have that with the players that they have. This is how the Magic have built themselves everywhere. When you look at this Magic Summer League roster, yeah, Jase Richardson is the point guard, but Ethan Thompson's been handling the ball a lot. Noah Penda's handled the ball a lot. We'll talk about him in a minute. Alondes Williams, Jalen Crutcher. These are not natural point guards. They don't play point guard anywhere else but with the Magic, where everybody is tasked to do everything. And so with that in mind, understanding it is just Summer League. These are young players for the most part. Sunday's game was a red flag. Sunday's game deserves to be dissected and thought about of, maybe this skill, this position, this like hard P position that the Magic have delegated or pushed to the side, maybe it does mean something. Now, look, again, this is a weighty question. Like the thing I just spoke for the last 7 minutes about, that is a real question. That is a question. We would have addressed this. We would have thought about this during the dead times of the offseason. It is the big question facing this Magic team, whether their idea of how to build a point guard and an organizer can actually function at the highest levels. The Thunder have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They have an Alex Caruso. Indiana has a Tyrese Halliburton. New York has Jalen Brunson. Minnesota has Mike Conley. Golden State has Steph Curry. Denver has Jamal Murray. Cleveland has Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. Boston has Derek White. A point guard matters. That experience matters. And so, yes, this is Summer League. The Raptors are playing a frenetic ball pressure style that I think is intentionally over the top. They don't care how many fouls they draw or they commit. They don't care because the idea for them right now is to build a culture of defense, of intensity. It's no different than how the Magic were 2 years ago. So I'm saying all this not to read, and then warning you not to read too much into Summer League stats. But by the same token, the Magic committed 29 turnovers, leading to 44 Toronto points. Noah Penda, who we'll talk about here in a minute, had 5 turnovers. Tristan da Silva had 6. Off the bench, Jalen Crutcher, essentially the Magic's backup point guard, had 3. Alondes Williams, another kind of lead guard type, had 3. Jase Richardson only had 1. I'm going to give him that credit. He was really good as a kind of guy settling the team down. Scored 17 of his 19 points in the second half, helped the Magic get back into the game, helped the Magic kind of settle down, make big shots, make big plays. And the Magic's biggest problem on the final possession of the game was they couldn't get him the ball. They were too disorganized. They were too kind of going for it, just all out of sorts. They couldn't get the ball to the guy that was getting them in the right spots, making the right plays, and really on to. So for those of us who are eager to see Jase Richardson take on more point guard roles, he had 4 assists against 1 turnover. He started to show that. But Jase was also a rookie who got really bothered by Jamal Shead and his aggressive defense, who at times could not get himself involved, could not break free from the physicality of this team, and at times did not look like that calming force. It's Summer League. Everyone's out of sorts. Everyone's all over the place. Everybody's crazy. And in that Summer League setting, especially having someone who can calm your team down, slow the game down, and get a good shot, that means everything. And so that is a credit to Jase Richardson that he did that throughout the second half. But the Magic could not find that consistently throughout the game. Toronto's defensive pressure was the story of the game. And look, the Magic got their turnovers back too. They forced 22 as well. But that defensive pressure was the story of the game. And the Magic handled it inconsistently. Will that be the case in the regular season? It'll be different. Like Paolo's Paolo, Franz is Franz. We'll see. But more teams are playing pressure defense. More teams are trying to pick up tempo as a way to condense space. More teams are sitting in passing lanes and doubling more to create bad passes and relying on rotations. What the Raptors did isn't going to be so different from what a lot of teams will try to do to the Magic to make them uncomfortable. And that's why having a point guard kind of matters. We'll see if it does in October. That's not the only takeaway from this game. A big showing from Noah Penda. We're going to give him some flowers as he makes his mark in the second Summer League game. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at Hungry Root. Let's be honest, meal planning and grocery shopping can be overwhelming. Between busy schedules, picky eaters, and trying to eat healthy, it's a lot. That's why I love Hungry Root. They take the stress out of planning by filling your cart for you with personalized groceries and meal options based on what you like and need. Hungry Root uses their Smart Cart TM technology to recommend groceries, recipes, and even supplements tailored to your preferences. Whether you're dairy-free, gluten-free, focused on gut health, or just trying to eat better, Hungry Root has got you covered. I'm someone that does like to go shopping. I like to cook for myself, but I don't always pick the best things from the grocery store. So having a Hungry Root be able to pick healthy snacks for me, healthy foods for me, it's really helping me in my weight loss journey as I try to get myself into game shape for the start of the season. Take advantage of this exclusive offer for a limited time. Get 40% off your first box plus a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA. That's hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA, code LockedOnNBA to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. I don't want to be doom and gloom. Like, it's Summer League. Like, we're trying to draw some things. And that comparison that I made in the first segment, it's something I saw. It's something I thought about as I was watching the game. But of course, like we know, there are a lot better players on the Magic's regular roster. The Magic aren't going to be worrying so much about that. But it is a concern for the rest of the season. This was largely a positive game for the Magic once again. Like, we could argue with some late game execution. We'll go through the box score, talk a little bit more about what happened in the game itself toward the end of the show. But this was the Noah Penda coming out party. Penda showed some nice things in the first game, but he was the first to say after the game that he did not play up to his standard. He did not think he played particularly well in that game. And so he definitely came out eager to set the record straight. It's not the right phrasing, but essentially make good on that effort. Make good on an effort that he didn't feel was to his level or at the level that he wanted it to be. This was Noah Penda's chance to make his mark, to be the player that he knows he can be, to show us the player that he can be. And look, Noah Penda is still very, very rough around the edges. I want, as exciting and as interesting as he is as a player, he's got a lot of work to do. Things still feel a little slow. I think he's very comfortable playing at his pace and forcing everyone to play at his pace, which is a very good sign. But there are still things he has to get better at. Just be a little bit more fluid and all that stuff. But that's what you expect from a player like him and from all that. Let's just go through the numbers then. In 30 minutes, Penda finished with 9 points, 14 rebounds, 4 for 9 shooting, made his first three. He was 1 for 3 from 3. 2 assists, 3 steals, a block. He did have 5 turnovers, and he was plus 19 in the game. Plus 19 was the highest plus minus of any player in this game, either team. Noah Penda had a major impact on this game that went beyond 9 points. To that point guard question that I mentioned earlier, one of the ways the Magic decreased pressure from the guards was they had Noah Penda bring the ball up. And the Raptors they couldn't put Colin Murray-Boyles on him because they were more concerned about Tristan da Silva, and Colin Murray-Boyles wasn't big enough to handle Noah Penda. Because again, you just watch these games, Penda is just big. He's just a big dude. He's a bigger dude than a lot of the guys on the floor. He was guarded a lot of times by Jonathan Mobo. Again, NBA level guy who played for the Raptors main roster last year. And while I wouldn't say like he was aggressively attacking him or just dominating that position, he was able to get the Magic into their offense and get them organized. Now, having said that, yes, he did have 5 turnovers. He was sped up at times. The Raptors were doubling and trapping him. And I think his passing, there are signs that he will be an excellent passer. I want to mention that. Like, there are a lot of signs he will be an excellent passer. But he's got to learn those reads, and he's got to learn to make those passes. It's not all there yet. Again, I think Penda is a project. Like, he'll play a little bit, he'll make an impact, and let's say one of every other game, he will make an impact. Other times he'll look like a rookie and look lost. But he's someone that defends really, really well. I was really impressed with his defense. He had a really good block in this game. He had a really good dunk in this game. He just does a lot of things that seem to make sense. And he's big. When he's on balance, he knows how to use his body. He knows how to get to a spot. He's got to get some more touch. He had a nice hook shot in this game. He just felt like he was all over the place in a good way. Like he was just had his hands in several facets of the game. And that's what the Magic want to see. That's why they drafted him. That's why they think he can be an impact player for this group. I was probably more eager to see Noah Penda play of any player in this Magic Summer League team, just because, like, you know, I've watched some tape on him, but it really didn't feel like we had a good sense of who he was and what he could do and who he could be. You know, again, just we all knew he was super raw. And so it's just like, okay, how far along is he? Like, how raw are we talking about? How much development is there going to need to be? And Penda has shown pretty quickly here in these Summer League games that he's much further along than people think. That he can indeed make a pretty big impact. That he can indeed do things right now on the court. And certainly in these Summer League games, again, like I say this all the time, like Summer League doesn't tell you who can play, it tells you who can't. Noah Penda can play at this level. He doesn't look lost. He doesn't look overwhelmed. He you know, maybe he's still trying to find his place. But to me, he was until Jase Richardson went on his tear at the end of the fourth quarter, Noah Penda was the MVP for the Magic. He was the calming presence. And look, he's still going to get over his skis sometimes. That was the case in the first quarter in Thursday's game. That was the case in the fourth quarter in this game. And it cost the Magic game in the end. He made a couple big mistakes, a huge turnover, got the chair pulled from him, ended up hurting his elbow on that play, which is not cool and a little bit scary, but he played through it. He still tried to do something. He got a rebound on a free throw while he was holding his elbow, and not in good shape. This is the way I would describe it. You could feel his impact. You could feel him on the floor. You know, sometimes when you're watching these Summer League games, and again, like, stats are important. They tell us something. They don't tell us everything in these games. If you watch this game without even thinking about the stats and just watch a couple possessions, you would be like, that 93 guy is doing a lot of things. You notice him because he's a big dude, but he's doing a lot of things. The rebounding was killer. Like, he was dominant on the glass. He was everywhere on that front. He was poking the ball away. That's going to get him on the floor, and that's exactly what the Magic want to see from him. Everything else they can develop. But he's shown, honestly, like, we'll get to this, but I don't think the 3 roster guys need to play anymore. I think we've seen what we need to see from them. And that's a good thing. Like, I won't mind if they play Tuesday. I don't think that would be a bad thing, but we've seen what we need to see. And all 3 of those guys have delivered for the Magic so far. Let's talk about Jase Richardson's game. Let's talk about Tristan da Silva's game. Let's talk about why the Magic may have found a 2-way player. We'll get to all that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. FanDuel helps you track your favorite matchups. They keep the app fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether you're placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride into the 9th inning, FanDuel makes it feel like you are part of the action. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Let's run through the rest of the box score, talk about the key players in this game as the Orlando Magic fall to the Toronto Raptors 89-86 in their second summer league game. They are 0-2, but have lost both games by 3 points. Ultimately, like, this game was weird. I described this game as very, very summer league. This game summer leagued as hard as a game could. 29 turnovers for the Magic, 22 turnovers for the Raptors. Toronto took 43 free throws. Tristan da Silva had 6 fouls. Ethan Thompson had 6 fouls. Skal Labissiere had 6 fouls. Alondas Williams had 5 fouls. Colin Murray-Boyles for the Raptors in his summer league debut, 8 points for him. He had 8 fouls. Jacoby Walter and Jamal Shed had 5 fouls. Again, like I meant, Chucky Hepburn had 4. Like I mentioned, the Raptors were playing so aggressive on defense. And honestly, I think their coaches probably told them, don't worry about fouling. You get 10 in these games. We just want to instill an aggressive mindset. And again, I don't mind that. Like, I thought they were allowed to be a little handsy early in the game, but I don't mind that. Like, let's teach these kids to be tough. And so from that perspective, I would say the biggest win then was Jase Richardson. Jase Richardson finished with 19 points, 5 for 10 shooting, 8 for 9 from the foul line, 1 for 3 from 3, 4 assists, 1 turnover, and 2 blocks. Jase was really good. And look, he scored 17 of his 19 in the second half. He really struggled early on with the physicality, with the pressure, and that had him receding to the background. But he found a way to make an impact, and it happened very, very slowly. But once it happened, he took over the game at the end and nearly got the Magic back. It got the Magic back in the game. They were down like 8-9 points in the fourth quarter. Got the Magic back in the game, tied the game, and seemingly made every big play. I honestly wanted to see him get the last shot. I don't mind Tristan da Silva getting it. The play wasn't really well executed. But I really, really liked the way that Jase played in this game. Jase showed us, he's still going to need some time. He's still making some mistakes. He's still, his size, I would say honestly through 2 games, his size is a bigger factor on offense than it is on defense. He is going to compete. Defensively, he is going to compete. Again, I don't think Toronto picked on him or anything, but anytime he was involved defensively, he was getting into it. And so I love that he'll get into it. His wingspan helps him a ton on defense. I think he'll be okay on defense. Will he be a great defender? Probably not, but he'll be okay. Offensively, I think is where his size gets him in trouble. He can get stuck kind of the same way that Cole Anthony would sometimes get stuck on drives. But when Jase has a clear shot at the basket and is able to get downhill and kind of build some momentum, he is so crafty with how he gets a shot off. He's so good at those angles. He's not afraid to take contact. He's not afraid to take a hit. I am really impressed with this kid. And look, it's just at this point, it's just about confidence and belief and feeling that rhythm. Once he saw a couple go down in the fourth quarter, it was game over, and he really played well. He really kind of he kept the magic in this game, and I think there's a lot to say and a lot to like about the way that he played in this game. Again, he really kept the magic in this one, and I think Magic fans should be very, very excited about what he can be, about what he can deliver and bring to this team, and how much he can still grow. And there's still a lot of areas that he'll need to improve and learn how to work around things. But Jase Richardson has delivered everything Magic fans could have hoped for through 2 games. I think a lot of what he's doing is translatable. He'll be better when he's with better players and he doesn't have to do all the things that he's doing, but he was really, really solid in this one. So too was Tristan da Silva, although Tristan slowed down as the game went on. He finished with 18 points. He was 6 for 13 from the floor, 3 for 7 from 3. He made his first 3 threes. They were all in the first quarter. 5 rebounds, 6 fouls, 6 turnovers, like I mentioned, 2 steals, and a block. Tristan da Silva looked really, really comfortable and good in the first half and the first quarter especially. We're at the point where like we know what we're getting from Tristan da Silva. And so could he use another game? Sure. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it if any of these 3 guys played. If Jase, Tristan, or Noah played in Tuesday's game, I would say that's their last game. They don't need much more. Through the first half, I was like, Tristan doesn't need to be out there. Like we know what we're getting from him. Orlando wants him to be more aggressive, wants him to attack more off the dribble. And look, he's making mistakes. That just may not be his game. That may not be who he is. I don't think that's his personality. I don't think he has the idea of like, I need to take over this game, or I need to be the one to take that last shot. I think he took the last shot. I'm glad he took it. It was a rush shot. He had more time on the clock than I think he thought. It wasn't a particularly well executed screen to spring him free. There's a screen to the corner for the game tying 3, and Tristan missed the shot. It was a little bit of a fade away. I thought Jase was open. They should have gotten it to Jase and had him attack. But honestly, like that's what Summer League is for him. Summer League is for him to make these mistakes. He was excellent on the 3s that he took in the first quarter. He'll probably be hit or miss on 3s. Just you hope he's better than he was last year on those 3s, because we know that he can make a bunch of 3s and attack off closeouts, and he's still really good at those things. And so there are things to like. And look, I think Tristan played fine. A little, the things that he struggled with are things that the Magic aren't going to ask him to do in October. So the things they're asking him to do now, and he's struggling with them a little bit, but overall still a solid effort from him. The rest of the roster, again, I've kind of warned you that this isn't the cleanest roster, but I want to mention Wendell Moore Jr. 22 points, 9 for 13 shooting, 2 for 3 from 3, 6 rebounds. Really, really strong game for Wendell Moore. He played okay in Thursday's game, played really, really well. The 3-point shooting was really big in this game. He screams to me that he could be an Osceola guy. He screams to me that he's a 2-way guy too. He's been knocking on the door. He's played with the Pistons for the last few years. I believe with the Pistons the last few years. I can stall and double check that real fast. But he's been in the NBA a little bit. He's been in the NBA just a little bit. He's played 3 seasons now. Played with Minnesota's first 2 seasons, with Detroit and Charlotte last year. Has 90 games of NBA experience under his belt. Played 20 games with the Pistons last year. Career 25% 3-point shooter. Again, hasn't had the opportunity to shoot a lot of 3s, so I don't think that number is necessarily accurate. And look, he shot 3s pretty well in these 2 games, and certainly shot him well in this game last year in the G League. If I can get these stats pulled up. He was not in the G League last year, did not play in the G League at all last year as a roster player, but 2 seasons with the Iowa Wolves, the Wolves affiliate, not a great 3-point shooter. So he's someone that is very much a 2-way type player. He's been in the NBA. He's been on the fringes of some rosters. He played really well in this game, I think, with another solid game, and hopefully he's played well in practices and he's on the radar. Wendell Moore feels like a guy that should get a 2-way contract somewhere. Like he's good enough to do that. Thought he played really, really well in this game. And obviously the production suggests that as well. This was not a good game for Ethan Thompson. I had a few people text me like, why are the Magic dealing with Ethan Thompson? I was like, look, he didn't have a great game today. Played really well on Thursday. There's some things I didn't like about the way he played Thursday, but not a good game for him. 2 points, 0 for 6 from the floor, 0 for 5 from 3. 3-point shots big for him. He's come a long way on that. He's gotten a lot better. Just not a good night for him there. Scala BCA did not follow up his strong game on Thursday with another good game. No points, 0 for 4 shooting, 6 fouls. He was active, but Magic were fouling a lot. It's just that kind of a game. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Kyler Kelly. Kyler Kelly, the starting center for this Magic Summer League team, one of the worst games that I think I've seen. Just every time he touched the ball, felt like he made a mistake. Only 2 points, only 3 rebounds, 5 turnovers, just so many mistakes. Just did not feel like he could do anything good. Couldn't rebound particularly well. I want him to do well. Like, I'm not here to say I'm not here to try and ruin anyone's career or anything. And this is just maybe not a good sample of what he's done. Not been impressed with him over the last 2 games. And he's obviously been starting in an important spot. The Magic ended up going with Wendell Moore in the closing lineup with Noah Penda playing center, which is interesting in and of itself. But that's the situation that we're in. Give credit to Londas Williams. He was 4 for 4 from 3 for his 14 points. Interesting player there as well. So we'll see what the Magic ultimately do. And again, there's still more Summer League games to come. We're going to get to see some of these guys play a more prominent role toward the end of the Summer League. The Magic have a back-to-back, a Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. I would expect the Magic to play their main guys in one of those 2 games. It's Nets Thunder, if I'm not mistaken. And then they'll have a game added at the end of the schedule next week. So we will see how the Magic end up playing this. They typically only play their main guys 2 or 3 games in Summer League. So I think we're coming up on the end here. We probably got one more game with Jase, Noah, and Tristan for sure. The Orlando Magic fall to the Toronto Raptors 89-86. Again, back in action Tuesday against, I don't have the Summer League schedule memorized because it's Summer League, against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So they'll play the Thunder on Tuesday, the Nets on Wednesday. But that's good, dude, for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. You can, of course, find me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the places you download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. You can also find us on YouTube. Subscribe there at Locked On Magic. Just search for Locked On Magic on YouTube. We are over 4,500 subscribers. The goal is to get to 5,000 before the start of the season. Thank you all for joining this magical journey. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, your Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. Now that you're done listening to Locked On Magic, making it your first listen of the day, go make your second listen, the Locked On NBA podcast, where there is no offseason. Doug, Matt, and Hayes keep you up to date on contract negotiations, rumors, and everything you need to be the most informed NBA fan. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We'll be back tomorrow on Locked On Magic. Haven't really decided what we're going to talk about yet. We'll find something to talk about. There'll be some more Summer League stuff to talk about. I'll have the Paolo mid-range stuff that I wrote could be something to talk about as well. We'll find something. It's getting to be that time of year, but we will see you all tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Magic. Until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again. This is Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.